test and delete it. Just 5 minutes or 10 minutes. You have to test and delete the elastic IP address. So if you forget it, they will charge. Next is the concept is called AWS Identity and Access Management. This is like who knows Windows Server administration, who knows Linux administration. They can understand this concept very easily. Assigning the administrator privileges to normal users. That is nothing but a simply IAM. For example, who knows Windows Server administration? In Windows Server administration, we have a concept is called delegation control. Assigning the system administrator privileges to normal users is nothing but a delegation control in Windows Server. In Linux, the concept is called sudo users. See, every time you are typing the command sudo space command means administrator privileges assigned to you. That is the particular topic. So administrator commands assigned to you. That is the particular task you have to run. For example, I want to give the disk management. So I can give that permissions only to you. So like that, the same concept in AWS identity and access management. Yeah, as a AWS account holder, for example, you have a AWS account, so you can use all your features, but you want to give me S3 storage permission to me, you can give. So you can create a user account by using my name. You can assign S3 storage, he can access. EC2 instances, he can access. Elastic load balancer, he can access. Like that, you can create the user accounts in your account. So you can share some permissions to them, give their username and password, everything you have to manage. But out of 130 services, they can use only 1 or 2 services which you are going to assign to them. That is the concept we are going to use on AWS identity and access management. Like multi-factor authentication, this is a authentication. You can log on to your AWS management console through your mobile by using the MFA multi-factor authentication. So two multiple codes sent to your mobile account. So you have to download the Google authentication app to your mobile or authentication app. I will tell you in the class. So Android mobile different app is there, and Windows mobile different app is there, and different mobiles different iPhone different app is there. You have to download the app from your mobile. You can access your AWS resources. So we are going to discuss in this class AWS identity and access management and user security credentials, how to give the security credentials to the users, temporary security credentials only particular point of time. So we can give all these things in this class, and manage permissions and policies, manage users use cases, how to create IAM groups, and how to access IAM login. So while login, you can see here, go to your AWS management console. So log back in. I am showing you just example purpose. See here, IAM user. I am the root user. Every day I am logging as a root user. I can create one user. I can give the S3 storage permissions. Then I can give the username and password. You can open AWS management console. You can select IAM user account. Then you can give your account ID. Yesterday I showed you. When you log in, you can have the account ID. That account ID details you have to give, and give the username and password which I assigned to you. Then you can log on to AWS management console, but you can only work on the S3 storage service. Remaining services cannot work. If you click on that, access is denied, that permissions will come. So that is the topic we are going to discuss here. Which class? IAM, identity and access management. Next, Amazon S3 storage. So you have a web server, you developed one web server, but you have to host that website. But whenever you want to host a website, you need infrastructure, like you need a machine like Linux or Windows, where you want to host your website. But in Amazon S3, without a infrastructure like operating systems like Linux and Windows, directly you can host your website through Amazon S3 storage. So we have different storage classes. We have pricings, data size, how much by default is 5 GB is free. So in Amazon S3, by default 5 GB of the space you can upload to your objects. Object is nothing but in Windows like folders. So you can develop one website without using the infrastructure. Directly you can deploy your website into the Amazon S3. So you can upload videos, you can make it available to the public. So whatever it may be, you can do. How to do that Amazon S3 storage classes, how to host a website in Amazon S3 storage, everything we are going to discuss in this class. And Amazon Glacier, so it is a secure, durable and extremely low cost storage for a data archiving. Means some data you are not going to use regularly. That is rarely you are going to use, but that is important. But regularly you are not use. So that type of data you have to move to Amazon Glacier. This is also like a storage, but old data, import data, when you want to require, so you want to access. So then you can make that type of data into Glacier with low cost prices. So low cost prices. So that is Amazon Glacier. How to move your data to Amazon Glacier, we are going to discuss in S3 storage class only. This is you have to remember. So what is Amazon Glacier? When they will ask the question, so frequently not used data, you have to like take the backup into Amazon Glacier when you required. So again, you can take back into the S3 storage. But up to 3 months back, 4 months back, it will take 1 week time to get back the data. But now they reduce the time. Maybe in 1 day or 2 days, they reduce the time to get back the data. Infrequent data, infrequent accessible data. Next, this is a very important class in AWS VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. So cloud means it is public, but in that public cloud, you have to maintain your own private network. That is called VPC. Virtual Private Cloud. VPC enables you launch AWS resources into a virtual network that you have defined. So particular your servers only you can configure one VPC. You can keep all your servers in that VPC. So VPC is a collection of public and private network. You can keep public servers, you can keep private servers, but by default they are not going to be communicate. But how to make it communicate private network and public networks? So public networks means like web servers. So we have the web servers. The web servers automatically they have to communicate with the public systems. So private network means our database servers, application servers we are going to use in private networks. So both networks we are going to use public and private network in your VPC. So you have to create the private subnets and public networks, public subnets, and you have to configure the internet gateways. So everything we are going to discuss in VPC class, Virtual Private Cloud. So understanding the default VPC and non-default VPC. So default VPC is provided by your AWS cloud people. So whatever the instance we launched by default, default VPC will come. So afterwards, we are going to discuss our private VPC. So in that private VPC, we are going to configure the subnets and we are going to configure the internet gateways and we are going to configure the routing tables. So everything we are going to discuss in this class. Next to auto scaling, high availability, incremental or decremental scaling. For example, you have a Flipkart site. So every Wednesday they are going to give the discounts. So there is a high request, incoming request will come to on the server, but the server is unable to access the request. Automatically it create the new server. So server is nothing but here instance. So it creates the new instances. Then the load is balanced between the instances. So elastic load balancer with auto scaling we are going to configure. So elastic load balancing automatically distributing incoming applications traffics across multiple targets. For example, you have an application server or you have a database server. So many hits coming onto the server. that server is unable to bear that much of requests. Suddenly the server is down. Suddenly the application is going to be down. So in that scenarios, you have to configure the elastic load balancer. So whenever there is high load, automatically it takes the load into another server. For example, we have a heavy traffic on the road. All the traffic is jammed. So what traffic police will do? They will redirect the traffic between different nearest places. Then they will clear the traffic. Like that, when you are managing your applications and databases, when the huge hits come into the server, if there is a high load on the server, automatically you can redirect the traffic to other systems. So that is called elastic load balancer. It balances the load between the multiple instances. Next to Amazon CloudWatch. So Amazon CloudWatch is a monitoring service to monitor your AWS resources as well as the applications that you run on AWS. So watching the AWS resources means, for example, your instance is taking the greater than 70% of the resources of your CPU, then immediately shut down the system or reboot the system. So you have to monitor your memory. So physical memory is greater than 70 MB, 70% is utilizing by the server. So send a mail to me, send a message to me. This type of monitorings we have to configure on CloudWatch. So next to simple notification service is nothing but, so to where you want to get the message. So I am monitoring, I want to send a message to you. So to where I want to send a message, through mail or through notification or through SMS. Like we have to configure in simple no NFS, SNF, SNS, simple notification service. You have to configure the type of configurations. Next to Route 53. So is nothing but like a DNS server. So who knows Windows Server and Linux server? They knows what is DNS, domain name service. To it resolves names to addresses and addresses to names, because we have millions of websites in our internet. So you cannot remember the sites with names, numbers. You can remember the sites with names. So to resolve that problem, we have to configure the DNS servers. So in AWS point of view, what is AWS DNS means? Route 53 is nothing but a AWS DNS. So Amazon Route 53 is a highly available and scalable cloud domain name system web service. So this is called Route 53. We are going to discuss in our AWS content. So CloudFront is nothing but a content delivery network offered by Amazon Web Services. So this is the network provide a globally distributed network of proxy servers which cache content. For example, you have one website in India, you put so many videos in your website, but the person who is access from Australia, so see, so it will take much time to access your website which is located in India. So what CloudFront will do? So the nearest place it will keep the cache information. So directly the request will not come to directly our server. Whatever you are requesting every time, so it will give from the nearest place to that particular content. So automatically they will get the access very easily and quickly. That is called CDN. So content delivery network. So Elastic Beanstalk. So with Elastic Beanstalk, you can quickly deploy and manage applications in the AWS cloud without having to learn about the infrastructure that runs those applications. So if you want to build any application, if you want to deploy any application without knowing infrastructure means storage, network, this knowledge you don't have, but you build one application, so you want to deploy it. So you can go for Elastic Beanstalk concept without knowing the infrastructure knowledge. Directly, whatever the application you developed, you can deploy on the cloud environment. automatically it will provide the infrastructure. So now simple queue service is there. This is also like a messaging service. So simple queue message queuing service that enables you to decouple and scale microservices, distributed systems, and serverless applications. Already I told you, serverless applications means you can use the S3 storage. So without having the server, you can deploy your websites and applications through Amazon S3 storage. So SQS provides serverless applications. So get started SQS in minutes using the AWS console command line interface. So you can configure SQS also. Simple queue message service. So cloud formation is nothing but you have configured your entire cloud environment. You have configured EC2 instances, you configured load balancers, you configured auto scaling, you configured S3 storage. So complete environment is developed. So you can take one template. So it's the same configuration I want to do on the another region. Just you have to deploy there. So already I configured one environment in Asia Pacific Mumbai region. Same concept I want to configure in US East region. But again I have to come from beginning onwards. But no need to go for like that. You can go for cloud formation, which is the service provided by AWS. So whatever the environment you have, you can take like one template. So the template you can deploy there. Automatically whatever the environment here you developed, so automatically it will deploy the same environment is ready to work on that particular another region. Then we are going to discuss about RDS relation database services. Amazon relation database service makes it easy to set up, operate and scale a relational database in the cloud. So how to set up the cloud RDS database in Amazon web services we are going to discuss. And also DynamoDB, another one, dynamic database, non-SQL database, this one. DynamoDB also we are going to discuss. So these are the topics we are going to discuss in our complete AWS. So this is like so AWS Solutions Associate. That exam you can prepare by using these topics. Now we are going to discuss about the first topic. So Amazon EC2. So Amazon EC2 is a web service that provides a resizable compute capacity in the cloud. It is a simple web service interface allow you to obtain and configure capacity with minimal friction. Minimal friction means even with the small size of memory also you can get from the cloud environment. So it provides you with complete control of your computing resources and lets you to run on Amazon's proven computing environment. So Amazon EC2 reduces the time required to obtain and boot new server instances to minutes, allowing to quickly scale capacity both up and down as your computing requirement changes. So EC2 is nothing but a virtual machine. So like you are using a virtual machine, how you are using virtual machines? See how we are using virtual machines. You are going to install VMware workstation. Top of that, you are creating a virtual machine. So EC2 instance is like also a virtual machine, but here we are technically calling as a instance. So how to launch the instances we are going to see. So Amazon EC2 means elastic cloud computing. So benefits elastic web scale computing. So scale up and scale down your resources, completely controlled by you only. Flexible cloud hosting services, like you can select your CPU, how much CPU resources you need, so how much memory you need, which operating system you want, so which type of instance you need, everything you have to select. It is a flexible, whatever you want, you can select that type of instance, you can launch. So with SQL server or with Docker tool, with any DevOps tools, so ready-made EC2 instances are available. So designed for use with other Amazon Web Services like Amazon S3 relation database services. Just now we discussed SQL services. So all those designed with other Amazon Web Services. It is a reliable 99.995% is availability for each zone, each region. So regions are nothing but different locations. Mumbai region, so Singapore region, so US East to US West to US Northeast, like that. We have different regions are there. So inexpensive. So Amazon EC2 financial benefits of Amazon scale, you pay very low rate for the computer capacity actual consuming. So actually you selected 2 GB RAM, but depending upon the requirement you utilized extra 1 GB RAM, so they will charge, but very low price only they will charge. So it is a very secure because we are going to configure Amazon VPC. So you can secure your EC2 instances by configuring your virtual private cloud. So we have three types of instances. On-demand instance. So let you pay for compute capacity by the hourly. So per hour they will charge. On-demand instance with no long-term commitments. So how many days I want to use, I want to use that much of days, I will terminate that. So whatever the price, by default 750 hours is free. So if you create a Amazon web account, 750 hours you can use the instances. So while practicing, you are practicing 1 hour or 2 hours. So totally it will give 750 hours of using free instances. After 750 hours, they have to charge hourly 50 rupees or 20 rupees or 10 rupees depending upon the prices. So reserved instances you have to purchase. So reserved instances provide you with a significant discount. For example, there is a ACT fiber net, internet is there. So monthly I am paying 500 rupees. So yearly it is going to be a 6,000 rupees. But they will give an offer. If you pay the money per year, we are going to discount 2,000 rupees. Means if I pay at a time 4,000, so I can get a 2,000 rupees discount. But I paid 4,000 rupees, but after 2 months or 3 months, immediately I transferred from Hyderabad to some other location. But now our 4,000 is gone because already we committed for 1 year. But that is the reason generally the people will go for on-demand instances. So this month I used 500, I paid. Next month I used 500, paid. So next month I transferred from this. So I am going from outside. So like that, reserved instances depending upon the requirement. If your company is growing very well, so if it is running long environment, so then you can go for reserved instances. Otherwise, always go for on-demand instances. So spot instances means, so there is like a share market is there. If the share will come to 15 rupees, buy it. Like that, spot instances, whatever the resources are unusable in an Amazon cloud computing, they will make the resources for a low price. So 1 hour, 2 hours, 6 hours, or every weekend, Friday to Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday, or Sunday morning to evening. So how much bid? So you are going to give, if it is 50 rupees for 1 hour, 6 hours, I will pay 300 rupees, I will take the instance. So then you have to raise the spot instance. Then if the price will come to that particular, whatever the bid you given, automatically assigned to you. So those are spot instances. Unnecessary idle resources in cloud, so they will make it spot instances. Anybody want to practice some DevOps tools which are not supported by your laptop, then you can go bid the price, then you can get and you can practice. So how much you utilized, so you have to pay that much of money. So elastic block storage already we discussed. To elastic IP address, what is VPC, already explained. CloudWatch, auto scaling, elastic load balancing. These already we discussed now. These are the instance types: general purpose T2, T3, M5, M4, and computer optimized, memory optimized. GPU means graphical purpose, storage optimized, R3 instances. Now, just I am going to launch one instance. I will explain each and everything. So what in exam point of view, they will ask the questions. So everybody we are launching instance, we are getting next. But you have to know about number of things while you are going to launch the instance. So I'm logging to the Amazon Web Management Console. Now go to EC2. Here you can see carefully. So always check you are in which region. I am in the Mumbai region. So these are the other regions: US East, US West, Asia, Africa, Cape Town, Asia Pacific, Hong Kong, Mumbai, Seoul, Singapore, Sydney, Tokyo, Canada, Europe, Ireland, London, Milan, Paris, Stockholm. These are the regions only available now. Now we are in the Asia Pacific, Mumbai, AP South 1. Always check this one. So click on 0, running instances are not there. So EC2 dashboard, here you can see instances. Click on instances. See here, spot request is there, reserved instances there. We are going to discuss later these ones. So click on launch instance. Here you can see Amazon Linux AMI. This is the AMI ID. This is unique. Amazon Linux 2 comes with 5 years support. So 5 years only they will give the support. It provides the kernel 4.14 optional performance on Amazon EC2 system 219. So this is the GCC. This is C++ related softwares by in-depth inbuilt will come. So binary utilities will come, and the latest software packages through extras. This instance get these features. Next to see next instance. This is also free tier eligible. The Amazon Linux AMI in an EBS Elastic Block Store backed AWS supported image. The default image include AWS command line tools. See, Python will come by default, Ruby, Perl, and Java. The repositories include Docker, PHP, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and other packages. See, by default, these will come, this instance. Like this is Red Hat Linux instance, SUSE Linux Enterprise instance. Public cloud will come, advanced system management, web and scripting, and legacy modules. So, which requirements you need, that type of instance you have to select. And also left side you can see my AMS, means you can create your images, Amazon images. These auto scaling we are going to discuss about these images. I can take whatever the instance I am creating, I can take one image copy. So already I created my host image 1, host 1 image, like that. So this we are going to discuss later. Now community AMIs. So this is for natting purpose, we are going to use community AMIs. So while we are going to discuss about VPC, in VPC we have a concept is called network address translation, communicating public and private network. Already I told you. So we have to keep public servers and private servers. I want to communicate both servers. So we have to go to community AMIs. Normally AMI will not work. So NAT instances we have to take. So you can select here, type NAT, enter. So all the NATing instances will come. Then we are going to select one NAT instances. We are going to configure the routing and remote access. So now By default, we are going to discuss later about all these things. So quick start. So click on quick start. So whatever the default images will come, all the images will come by default. Go to services, click on EC2. Zero running instances. So click on launch instance. So you can select any one of the instance, but I am going for first instance. As your wish, you can go for the next also. This is also free tier eligible. So click on select. For example, second only I am selecting. So left side you can see here all instance types, general purpose, compute optimized, graphical user interface, graphics purpose, machine learning, memory optimized. Then you can see general purpose. So general purpose instances provide a balance of compute, memory, and network resources and good choice for many applications. They are recommended for small and medium databases, data processing tasks that require additional memory, caching fleets, and for running backend servers for SAP, Microsoft SharePoint, and other enterprise applications. For this type of applications, you can go for general purpose. And you can scroll down. General purpose. See, general purpose we have different. How much? See, general purpose first instance you can see one vCPU 512 MB memory. So one CPU 1 GB memory, one CPU 2 GB memory. So depending upon your requirement, but this is free tier we are taking. But real times you have to select as your company's requirement. This is 4 CPUs 16 GB RAMs. So T3A 2X large 8 CPUs 32 GB RAM. So depending upon your database and applications, you can select. Then compute optimized. So compute optimized instances have a higher ratio of vCPUs. So CPUs are high. See 32 CPUs, 48 processors CPUs. So other families and the low cost per vCPU. Among all Amazon EC2 instance types, we recommend compute optimized instances for running CPU bound scale out applications. So which applications who are mainly require CPU resources, you can go for compute optimized instance type. So examples such applications include high traffic front end fleets, on demand batch processing, distributed analytics softwares, high end web servers, and batch processing servers, high performance science and engineering applications. You can go for compute optimized instances. So next you can see GPU instances provide graphic processing units. So GPU means graphics processing units along with high CPU and network performance for applications benefiting for highly parallelized processing, including 3D graphics, high performance computing, rendering, and media processing applications. For example, you can take our Telugu movies like Bahubali. So they are having heavy graphics. So they will design the graphics, but those graphics have to be processing. So they have to process them. So what they will take, they will not buy the servers, because once the graphics are processed, once they implemented, those servers are not utilized for them. What they will do, they will contact the cloud people. So we need this much of 96 processors, 384 GB RAM, because our graphics is very high. We require very high end processing for doing our graphics. So then they can go for take the rent of this capacity of the servers, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So they will implement all their graphics into the servers. They process their graphics and they implemented on the movie. So how much rent they have to pay, they will pay and come out from the cloud environment. So that type of any graphics, they are going to take the rent for this GPU instances. They will process their graphics. So how much they paid, they have to pay, and they come out from that. Then machine learning. This is the new they implemented newly. Machine learning ASCII instances are powered by chips custom built by AWS and are optimized for running machine learning applications such as image recognition, speech recognitions, natural language processing, and personalization. Nowadays, MI is very popular in so many technologies. Now, that is the reason they introduced this type of instance also. This is memory optimized. Memory optimized instances have the lowest cost per GB of RAM among Amazon EC2 instance type. We recommended memory optimized instances for many database applications and other distributed caches and larger deployment of enterprise applications like SAP and Microsoft SharePoint. So the applications which required more memory, so SAP applications generally required more memory. So that type of applications you can go for memory optimized. So depending upon the requirement of your company, what is the nature of work, what is the nature of your package, then you can go for that instances you have to launch. This is storage optimized. So storage optimized instances provides you with direct attached storage options optimized for applications with specific disk IO input output operations and storage capacity requirements. We recommended i3 instances for no SQL database. So SQL database is there, no SQL database is there. We are going to discuss in our next classes, which benefits from very high random IO performance and low request latency of direct attached NVMe's SSD disks. We recommended D2 instances for running large scale data warehouse softwares. We have a data warehousing is there, different softwares in data warehousing. For that purpose, they are going to use storage optimization instances. So entry point of view, you have to know about these types of instances. So simply they will ask, well, what is the general purpose instance, which purpose we are going to use, what are the compute optimized. So I will send the document of these types of instances, which purpose they are using, which cases. So these are the top 5 general purpose computed memory accelerated means GPU instances, storage optimized. So general purpose just now we discussed. Computer optimized use cases, memory optimized use cases, accelerated computer opting use cases, storage optimized use no SQL database. Like this, you have to theoretically read and remember the types of instances. No blindly go and open next. So you have to know about instances. Now click next, configure instance details. So here you have to remember the points, number of instances, only one. Here you can see purchase option they given, request spot instances. So just now I explained you spot instance. So if you check the box, so availability zones current price. Now spot instances are available. The zones are AP South 1A cents $0.0037. So if you want to request, you can request this one. So this is 2 instances work. Maximum price. So here you can type price for 0.0 for 30 instances will come. I will take. So they are again 0.0007. So if it is come to this price, I can take it. So automatically, if the bid will come to you, automatically the instance will start. So here persistence request is given. Persistent means timing. So every Friday evening 9 o'clock to Saturday morning 9 o'clock I want to take. So you have to request. Then after that automatically terminate and automatically stop. You have to give the behavior, interruption behavior. Now I am not selecting this, just I am unchecking, but I am showing you. Next to network. So by default, Amazon people will give you default VPC. So this is default VPC, which is given by the Amazon people. So we are going to discuss how to create our own VPCs in our classes. Subnets, no preference. By default, it will allocate the subnets. So afterwards, we are going to create our own subnets. So here see, create new VPC. So we can create, but we are not yet discussing now. We are going to discuss later. Create new subnet. You can create your own subnet, but not we are not going to do. Later we are going to do. auto assign public IP is enabled. So automatically it will assign one public IP to your instance. But I don't want to get the public IP, so I can disable it. But initially we are going to enable. So we are going to get the public IP. So when you are going to configure your VPC, when you want to use your private subnets, then you can disable the public IP. So, but we have to enable it. Next to placement group, if we want to add instance in a particular placement group, existing placement group, now we don't have any groups created. Just to uncheck is capacity reservation open, target by group or group ID. So it's open, no domain join directory. So no domains we are having now. If you have the domain environment, you can configure the domain. So IAM role, just now I discussed identity and access management. You can give the roles. So no roles are created. This is already created AWS Elastic Beanstalk role. But IAM we are not yet discussed. We are going to discuss later this one. IAM role none. Shutdown behavior, stop or terminate. So stop or terminate shutdown behavior. For example, you unexpectedly you come out from that instance, automatically it will stop. Next, stop hibernate behavior. Enable hibernation and additional stop behavior. So it will going to, if you are not using 15 minutes, 20 minutes your instance, automatically it will going to hibernation. So enable termination protection. So it will generally we are going to check this box because accidentally if you terminate means completely deleting. So I have a database server. So somebody given permissions on EC2 instances. So they go for action and they given on terminate. So the complete my database server is go. So we can have backup, but so protects against accidental termination. So here enable CloudWatch detailed monitoring. So by default, your EC2 instances and everything is monitoring by the AWS. The default time is 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes it will monitor your EC2 instances, load balancers, everything. So if you want to get to detailed monitoring, so by default, if you are not selecting anything, 5 minutes it will monitor. If you check this one, detailed monitoring, every minute it will check. So every minute means see additional charges apply. So you have to click and what are the charges you have to check. So 5 minutes by default is free. So a very critical instances only you have to enable the detailed monitoring. We are going to discuss in CloudWatch class. Next to tenancy shared, run a shared hardware instance. For example, already we discussed cloud fits on virtualization. There is a physical server. Top of the physical server, we can have the number of virtual machines. So one of the virtual machine they are giving to you. That is nothing but a running a shared hardware instance. So I have a one physical server. Top of that, I install the VMware ESX hypervisor. Top of the hypervisor, I created 100 virtual machines, Windows servers, Linux servers, whatever it may be. From that servers, from that machines, they are allocating to you one, means shared hardware, and run a dedicated instance. So that instance, whatever I given, I can share to others also. So your work is different, their their work is different. So if you want to get a dedicated instance, you can select, but chargeable will come. Dedicated host means entire physical host you want to take. So on 100 machines, I can configure on one physical VMware hypervisor. So entire physical host, they will dedicate to you. So high price. So you can go for run a shared hardware. See, additional charges will apply for dedicated tenancy. So if you accidentally delete that one, so day one onwards they will charge you. So carefully you have to, so don't change tenancy. Next to credits specification, we are going to discuss about credits next time. File systems, create a new file system. By default Linux file system it will use. So metadata accessible enable, metadata versions. So these are the things you have to remember here. So click on add storage. So by default, it will give the volume type root 8 GB, no encrypted, not encrypted. By default, your root volume cannot be encrypted. While taking the image, you can encrypt your root volume. So see here, delete on termination, check the box. Means when you delete your instance, automatically this volume also going to be delete. But if instance delete also, if we want to keep your EBS volume, so you can uncheck this box. So delete the instance also, your data is safe. Once you want to get the data, you can access your data and you can add the volume to your instance. So I am checking the box, delete on termination, because unnecessarily maybe we can chargeable. So defaults only I am giving. If you want to add a new volume at the time of launching the instance, so EBS volume, so you can add another disk, 8 GB general purpose SSD. See here we have provisioned IOPS, input output per seconds, provisioned IOPS, so cold HDD, throughput optimized, magnetic standard. Tomorrow I will give the notes about this. Notes means I will explain this general purpose solid state disk, input output operations per second, and magnetic, this is a standard and old version, cold HDD, and throughput optimized, high request in IO request, it will come throughput optimized. High end database servers you can select this type of disks. So minimum database servers you can select, go through the general purpose SSD. So but I am not adding this volume. Next we are going to see in our classes, these are the IOPSs 100 by 3000. So baseline of 3 IOPS per GB with a minimum of 100 IOPS, burstable is 3000 IOPS. So per second 100 IO operations will go, disk read and write operations. Burstable maximum you can go for 3000 IOPS for this type of device. So I am deleting this one. So basic disk only I am taking. Click on add tags. So here you can add the tags. Click on add tag, for example name, my web server. So real times like this, add another tag, department, web department, add another tag, team, which team, R&D team, R&D research and development team. So who created this? So real times they have to give like this. Employee ID 34332, whatever it may be, whatever your ID is there, who is creating, the staff ID. So employee ID or staff ID you can write here. Then you can understand, so who is created, which department people create, because so many people work on the cloud environment, who created, what created, we have to know. So configure security group. So create a new security group or select an existing security group. For example, create a new security group, group name SSH. For example, I am giving -HTTP -HTTPS, like this. So by default you are going to connect your Linux instance through SSH only. So add rule. So if you want to configure website, select HTTP port number 80 and secure website HTTPS port number 440, like this you can add. So these are the security groups. So which rule you want to write, the rule, then you can review and launch. But I am deleting this one. So when tomorrow we are going to see web server browsing, then we are going to add that one. So click on review and launch. Review and launch. So this is the instance type. This is the variable VCP is 1, memory is 1 GB memory, instance storage is EBS only. So security group we created SSH, instance detail, storage tags, click on launch. So already existing key pair is there. You can select the existing key pair or create new key pair. Again tomorrow I will explain new key pair. Launch instance. So click on view instances. So it is coming to be running state. So like this, you can launch the instance. Here we can see these things. Tomorrow I will explain. See, so many things we have to explain here. So tomorrow I will configure website. Then I will explain what is public IP, private IP, and status checks, and monitoring. See, system status checks, instance status check. What is this? They will ask the questions. Monitoring. So what are the CPU utilizations? Disk reads, disk read operations, disk write operations, and network in packet input packets, output packets. So everything I have to explain, because entry point of view, tomorrow I will give the questions on this. So they will ask the question, termination protection is turned off by default. You must it on. How to on it? They will ask the question. And EBS, by default EBS instance. So when we delete a instance, by default EBS volume is going to be delete. How to protect it? So EBS root volume and our default Amazon image cannot be encrypted. So you can also use a third-party tools. So they will ask the question. By default, they cannot be encrypted, but how to encrypt it? So you can use a third-party tools like BitLocker to encrypt the root volume by default. Like this type of questions from this EC2 instance launching session, they will ask. Tomorrow I will give these questions to you. Question and answer both I will give you. So tomorrow we are going to launch the Linux instance and how to configure the web server on Linux instance with IP address and with name, with the AWS name, AWS DNS name, how to open it. Then we are going to launch the Windows servers, how to launch and how to log into the Windows servers. So today we are going to complete the session. Tomorrow, so we are going to continue the session. So launching Linux instance, configuring the web server. Okay, tomorrow we will connect. Thank you all. Tomorrow we are going to connect. See, now I am terminating the instance. So click on terminate. See, it is not going to be terminate because we protected. Now how to unprotect it? So how to remove it? Go to actions, instance settings. So change terminate protection. Disable. I enabled it. I am disabling now. Now click on actions. Select instance state. Click on terminate. Yes, terminate. Okay, tomorrow we are going to launch the instance. We are going to configure our website, and I will give the from interview exam point of view which questions they will ask from for every session. I will give the exam points and view. What are the exam points they will ask from instance? This is the questions they will ask. So, is there any doubts from anybody?
No, sir.
Okay, tomorrow we will connect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all.